This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Menke, president of the Urbandale Chamber of Commerce. The Urbandale Chamber is excited to provide you with this opportunity to get to know a little bit more about the candidates running for Urbandale School Board and the City Council. Thank you so much for taking the time to educate yourself on each of the candidates that are running, and we encourage you to vote on November 7th. Hello, I'm Tiffany Menke, president of the Urbandale Chamber of Commerce, and our guest today is Steve Avis. Steve is running for school board, a member of the school board. So Steve, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time to be here with us today. This is just a great opportunity for the community to get to know a little bit more about you and why you're wanting to run for the Urbandale School Board. Just a couple quick reminders. We're going to open the questions, and your first response will allow 2 minutes. And after that, all of the other responses will be about a minute in length.
Okay, great.
So
great.
We'll get started really first, softball, easy question.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for inviting all the candidates. And we really do appreciate your flexibility regarding our work schedules. It's very much appreciated. So again, as you stated, my name is Steve Avis. I'm running for Urbandale School Board. My wife and I have been married for 27 years. We have, both of us have graduated from public schools. We have 3 kids, 2 of which have graduated from UHS and another that is currently a junior at UHS. So we clearly have, a vested interest in Urbandale and the school district as well. So a little bit more about myself. I'm honorably discharged from the Air Force. I was a staff sergeant. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and a master's of science in taxation. I have a very, very sincere interest in continuing education. I'm always looking to improve myself. I've been a CPA for 25 years. Over that time, I have prepared budgets for school districts. I have also conducted audits of school districts. So, and I really have a deep understanding of public school finance and the importance of ensuring that we understand how responsible it is for board members to track the public's money and make sure that that's spent wisely. My main motivation for running is I want to support and empower our teachers to do what they've been trained for, and that's to teach our students in the district. I want to support policies and programs that help kids see their unique potential and give them confidence in their abilities in moving forward with their education. And finally, obviously, my other motivation is also to ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent in a wise, prudent fashion.
Perfect. Well, you mentioned this, you alluded to it a little bit, but is there a particular issue that motivates you to serve on the school board?
Well, actually, my biggest heartfelt issue for me is ensuring the physical security for students and staff. In October of 2022, we had a student in Lions Park, just across from the high school, that had shot a weapon and advanced towards the high school along with another student. Fortunately, the police were able to apprehend the individual before he was able to gain entry into the high school. Now, only 1 month later, on November 21st of 2022, a school board meeting was held in which a 9-minute discussion was held regarding school security. Unfortunately, there was only one school board member that showed any serious concern about trying to look at options in our schools to improve security. It's very, very frustrating for me to really see. Now, just 2 weeks ago, we had another incident where a loaded weapon was found in the high school. So the bottom line is school security must be our highest priority of all. I will strongly advocate that all possible options are looked at to ensure that we can make sure that our students and staff are well protected within the district.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. So what experiences or skills do you have that prepares you to serve on the school board?
So right now my role is a project manager, and I'm responsible for developing tax training materials. And what I have to do is collaborate with several different authors, peer reviewers, local attorneys, or legal counsel actually, and many others. And I have to do this in order to develop a professional, consistent product. And so that requires conversations that, can sometimes be perceived negatively, especially when you have authors involved with different products. So as such, I have to be mindful of my communications and the way that I communicate with others to maintain that professional relationship. One of my biggest experiences that I've brought is I've served also as a CASA volunteer. CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. And CASA volunteers are appointed by a judge to amplify the voices of a neglected or abused child in the court systems. Judges rely on those recommendations as to what is in the best interest of the child. This, by far, was the most eye-opening experience of my life, I think, and this is, to me, is very a valuable experience to bring to the board.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit, but what do you see as the major issue or issues facing the Urbandale School District today, and do you have any specific suggestions for improvement?
So I think one of the major issues that's really facing our district and many others as well is the lack of adequate pay for our teachers and our associates. The reality is that many of our good teachers leave our district for other schools in Metro that pay much better. It's just a classic supply-demand problem. If we can't pay our excellent teachers well enough, they're going to leave for where they can get paid better. And so that's something that we have to look at. To fix that problem, I would suggest that the board form a subcommittee that's focused on conducting a comprehensive review of the budget distribution and finding areas where monies can be reallocated to teachers and associates so that we are actually addressing the classrooms where the kids are being taught. So this is a problem that I think can be solved. But the thing is, we just simply need board members that are willing to take the time and effort to actually, to do so.
Yeah. Excuse me. What do you believe is the most significant impediment to student learning today?
So I think there's several of those. I don't know that there's a single one that's significant, although I would say that we have technology distractions in the schools. We have, in some cases, we may have low quality teachers. We definitely have mental health challenges. It's clear that stress and anxiety amongst students is very prevalent, and even amongst teachers as well. We have a situation as well where students that may not be taking their medications are in the schools. And of course that affects everybody, students and teachers alike. And then also we have, in some cases, lack of parental development. So my solution to that is to actually reach out and survey teachers and the associates and allow them to provide anonymous feedback to the board as to what they see as the issues, and allow the board to work and prioritize towards those issues that mean the most to them.
We're going to change gears just a little bit, and let's talk about budgets. So what are your thoughts on the current budget for the school district?
So I guess before we get into the current year budget, I think we always have to look back at history, because history does repeat itself. And so we look back at the history and we look at the fiscal year ended June 30th of 2023. For that year, our district budget was $79 million. Unfortunately, towards the end of the year, about a month or two before the end of the year, the budget had to be amended for $14.5 million. Now, just imagine this. If you are a family that has a $5,000 income per month, and you have to explain to your significant other why you're in the red by $1,000. I think most of us would see that as significant. But unfortunately, that was not addressed during this board meeting, other than the 4 line items that were legally had to be provided to the public. There was no other discussion on the budget amendment, and it took place without any discussion or news to the public as to why it had taken place. And so with my experience, that's what I bring to the board, because with my background, I can help provide that oversight that the public needs so that we don't have that mistake happen again.
Well, kind of on that same line, school budgets are difficult to balance. If a budget cut is needed in the future, Where would you look to make those budget cuts? And are there any areas that you would absolutely say this area is off limits to cut?
Okay, so I agree with the premise of your question. Yes, yes, indeed. Budgets are difficult to balance. I think when we say budget cuts, that can mean different things, and so that's why I want to kind of clarify what that might mean. You have some situations where you might have a situation where, for example, our board had authorized the payment of $600,000 for cellular phone repeaters. Now, I do know for a fact there was not a problem with the cellular phone repeaters, at least I know with the high school. If you can imagine $600,000, what that could have purchased. There's things like that are going on. We need to look at that kind of thing going forward. But to look, when we talk about cuts, I think that's one that's definitely a cut. But I think there's other things at the other end of the spectrum we got to look at possibly reallocating. For example, for the 2017 to 2022 years, if we look at all those years, our administrative and support costs increased by 40%. Teachers' pay increased by 15%. And we wonder why we're losing teachers to other districts in the metro. That's definitely a big reason for that. And I think that's why the board needs a CPA and have some sort of financial oversight so that we can look at those issues and address them.
Thank you. What changes do you feel should be made at the state and local level regarding public education?
So I would start with the state level, first of all. Very few people know that there's actually a difference between the statutory definitions of bullying and harassment versus conflict. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why does that matter? What relevance does that have? And let me explain why. If, for example, you have two ninth grade males that are of the same race and the same physical stature, and let's say one is antagonizing the other and they get into a fight, the schools in the state would look at that as a conflict, not as a bullying activity. The reason that is different is because obviously if it's a bullying activity, it would be punished much more different than if it's a conflict. For a conflict, it's referred to as mediation in order to resolve the conflict. So a lot of parents have issues with the definition, and that needs to be resolved at the state level. At the local level, we have one of the favorites of all parents in the district is the grading for learning. And this is a standard-based activity or method in which we have gotten rid of the ABCDEF grading standard and went to a 1, 2, 3, or 4 standard. The ABCDEF standard, obviously, was based upon answers, test answers, for example, whether they were either right or they were wrong, and that's how you're graded. With this grading for learning standard, this is something that is a subjective assessment that's made by the teacher. Parents, teachers, students, everybody has an issue with this. I would suggest, if I get on the board, my suggestion would be to request the superintendent provide data that actually shows that this actually helps students in their education and will help them further after they graduate. If there's no data to support that claim, then we need to revert to our old ABCDEF standard, the same standard that colleges also use.
Yeah. So thank you again so much for all of your thoughts, Steve. We know it's not an easy task to run for school board, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We're going to end the questioning by providing you with some time to tell our viewers what differentiates you from the other candidates and why should the community vote for you.
Okay, thank you. So my 25-year experience as a CPA, I think that's what clearly differentiates me from the other candidates that are running and also from the existing members that are on the school board at this time. I work very well with others. I treat others with the same respect and accountability as they should expect from me as well. I'm really urging everybody to take a very close look at all of the 6 candidates before they vote next Tuesday. Take a look at their social media pages and their interactions with other board members, existing board members, and ask yourself if their values and their priorities actually align with your own. And I think that as leaders of a school district, I think those folks should exhibit the same qualities that you would expect of your grandchildren or your children as well. And so finally, I would just end with asking that I would sincerely appreciate your vote on November 7th, which is next Tuesday. And again, thank you very much, Tiffany. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much.